Anyone with heavy karma can identify it just by looking at these three signs. Buddha teaches three signs of those who sowed significant karma in their past lives. The debts from past lives must be repaid in this life. Cause and effect are inevitable. Dear devotees, in the teachings of the Buddha, the law of karma is an immutable rule that governs all human lives. Every action, thought, or word we express does not simply vanish in a fleeting moment, but instead becomes a seed planted in the soil of karmic retribution, following us through the cycles of rebirth. If we have sown unwholesome karma in our past lives, the consequences will gradually manifest in our current existence. The principle debts from past lives must be repaid in this life was emphasized by the Buddha, who made it clear that no one can escape karmic retribution. So, what are the signs indicating that someone carries heavy karma from their past lives? Based on the Buddha's teachings, we can identify three distinct signs in those repaying their karma in this life. Recognizing these signs can help us find the path to transform negative karma and attain peace. 1. Frequently falling ill. In life, physical health is the most important foundation. Without a healthy body, all efforts and achievements become meaningless. When we face health issues, feelings of helplessness and inadequacy often arise. This not only affects our personal lives, but also impacts our relationships with those around us. To maintain good health, we must adopt a balanced lifestyle, work and rest in moderation, maintain a positive mindset, follow a nutritious diet, exercise regularly, and abandon harmful habits. However, reality shows that not everyone can follow these practices perfectly. Everyone faces some health issues to varying degrees, from minor colds to more serious illnesses. Some people endure long-term battles with illness, while others deal with persistent but minor health problems. This constant state of poor health leads many to worry and question whether it is a sign of karmic burdens accumulated in their past lives. In Buddhist teachings, past actions can greatly impact present life. According to the teachings of Buddhism, a person's past karma can significantly influence their present life. When we have, whether intentionally or unintentionally, harmed other living beings, we will inevitably face the consequences of those actions. One of the most evident manifestations of this is through health. Illnesses, whether mild or severe, can often be seen as a reflection of karma. Those who frequently succumb to anger, engage in arguments, or harm others may experience psychological and physical issues. When the mind is filled with anger and resentment, the body responds negatively as well. Such individuals are more prone to anxiety, depression, and even more severe illnesses. Mental instability not only affects one's emotional well-being, but can also disrupt bodily functions, leading to a variety of health problems. One of the clearest ways the law of karma manifests is through health. If you have ever caused harm to others, you may find yourself repaying that debt through illnesses in this life. In fact, many people have observed a connection between their actions and the resulting consequences. They realize that living unethically, neglecting self-care, and failing to show love and compassion toward others have created karmic burdens in their lives. Buddhism emphasizes that karma will naturally balance itself over time. By creating good deeds and cultivating merit, life will improve. Conversely, if we live selfishly and harm others, we will inevitably face misfortunes in life. There are countless examples in daily life that illustrate the connection between karma and health. For example, a person who always seeks to harm others, speaks harsh words, will eventually find that not only do they face difficulties in their social relationships, but they also suffer from unexplained illnesses. These situations often occur in a repetitive cycle. They continue to hurt others, and as a result, must bear the consequences of their actions. To escape the cycle of karmic burdens, Buddhism offers many solutions to help us recognize and change our behavior. Practicing spirituality, engaging in meditation, and performing good deeds not only purify the soul, but also improve physical health. When the mind is at peace, the body naturally adjusts to become healthier. Buddhism also teaches that fostering compassion and kindness helps us reduce the negative karma from the past. As we begin to love and care for others, karmic burdens gradually transform, bringing blessings into our lives. Frequent illness is a clear sign of those who have created significant karma in their past lives. Health is not just a physical issue, but also a reflection of the soul, and relationships around us. When we understand that every action has consequences, we start to consciously create positive actions and reduce negative karma. Through spiritual practice and self-cultivation, everyone can change their karma and move toward a peaceful and happier life. Start with the smallest things, by loving and sharing with those around you, to gradually improve your health and your life. 2. A lifetime of poverty. In Buddhist philosophy, an individual's life is not only shaped by their actions in this life, but also influenced by the karma accumulated in their past lives. The famous teaching of the Buddha that, whether from past or present lives, whoever has created karma will receive the corresponding consequences, offers profound insight into the law of cause and effect. If someone has created a great deal of negative karma, their retribution will increase proportionally. Many people and families live in perpetual poverty, no matter how much they try, unable to escape their current state of hardship. These individuals often feel trapped in a vicious cycle, where every effort seems meaningless. It feels as though, even when they try to find opportunities, just as they believe they found a glimmer of light at the end of the tunnel, something happens to pull them back to the starting point. It may even become worse than before. Facing such hardships is never easy, and it can be difficult to maintain a stable mind and avoid falling into despair. You may feel hopeless and overwhelmed by the suffering caused by poverty, with no clear sense of when you might escape from this situation. In such moments, it is essential to reflect on your own blessings and virtues. Are the current difficulties the result of karmic burdens you created in the past? Some people, without exceptional talents or abundant resources, seem to earn money effortlessly. They work without much difficulty, yet the results they achieve far surpass those of others who have worked tirelessly to attain the same. What creates this difference? It is not merely talent or skill, but the merit they accumulated in the past. While some struggle for every penny, others achieve success with seemingly minimal effort. This is a clear manifestation of the workings of the law of karma. Those who live prosperous lives often have a solid foundation of accumulated merit. This is not a coincidence. If you find yourself in a state of poverty, remember that it is not solely due to fate or misfortune. The deeper cause may lie in the karmic forces you have created in past lives. If you have accumulated too little merit, you will face corresponding challenges in this life. Although life may seem harsh and difficult, what truly matters is how you perceive these challenges. The suffering you endure can actually be seen as an opportunity for self-cultivation and improvement. This is not a punishment, but a valuable lesson from life. It is through challenges and hardships that life teaches profound lessons about perseverance, patience, and compassion. When you find yourself in difficult circumstances, see it as an opportunity to begin self-reflection and repentance. Repentance is not merely about admitting fault, but also involves self-assessment and personal transformation. Let go of harmful actions, embrace good deeds, and actively practice to accumulate merit for the future. Remember, every hardship can be transformed if you are sincere and make an effort. One of the most effective methods to restore blessings in life is to maintain a positive attitude, no matter how severe the challenges you face. Always remember that things will get better if you hold on to faith and patience. Poverty is not a destiny, but merely a temporary phase in life. Find small joys in everyday life. Maintaining a positive mindset not only makes you feel happier, but also creates good vibrations that attract blessings into your life. Additionally, take time for constructive activities, such as participating in charitable events, helping those around you, and living a meaningful life. These actions will help you rebuild blessings for yourself. Although life may not be fair and is full of challenges, you should not let poverty dictate your life. Instead, take an active approach to find solutions. There are many ways to improve your financial situation, from learning new skills to seeking potential business opportunities. What is important is that you take action and never stop trying. Remember, successful people all start with small steps. They never give up, no matter how difficult the circumstances may be. They seek every opportunity, learn from failures, and continuously strive to improve their lives. You can do the same. One of the keys to escaping poverty is planning. Take time to define your financial goals. How much money do you want to earn, and how long will it take to achieve it? Create a specific plan and take steps to execute it. Do not fear failure, as failures are valuable lessons on the path to success. When you have a clear plan and begin to act, you will feel more confident. Each small step you take can lead to significant changes in your life. Remember, nothing is impossible if you put your heart into the work you do. Finally, do not forget the importance of repentance and self-cultivation. If you have made mistakes in the past, sincerely admit your faults and find ways to make amends. Repentance not only helps cleanse your soul, but also creates conditions for blessings to come to you. Spend time meditating, practicing compassion, and helping others. These actions not only improve your blessings, but also bring happiness to those around you. A lifetime of poverty is not an unchangeable destiny. No matter how great the difficulties and challenges you face, remember that everyone has the ability to change their life. By understanding karmic burdens, practicing compassion, and continuously striving to improve yourself, you can turn things around and create a better life. Life is a journey of learning and growth. Face every challenge with an open mind and a loving heart. You will find that although poverty may surround you, with perseverance and effort, blessings will come your way. Instead of living in misery, view hardships as opportunities for self-cultivation and self-improvement. From there, build a fulfilled and happy life. 3. Frequently encountering negative people. One of the most unpleasant experiences many people face is frequently encountering negative or harmful individuals. There is an old saying, "All people in the world have an energy field. You attract those who are like you." This saying holds deep truths about how humans interact and influence one another. Each individual has their own energy field, shaped by their thoughts, actions, and attitudes. A person who lives positively, does good deeds, and accumulates blessings will attract good people, positive relationships, and favorable opportunities. Conversely, someone who often commits harmful acts, speaks arrogantly, or displays pride will create a negative energy field, attracting people with similarly negative qualities and often encountering unfortunate situations. When a person's energy field is dominated by negative energy, their luck gradually deteriorates. They may encounter all kinds of harmful individuals, from insincere friends to scheming betrayers. These situations not only cause suffering, but also leave them feeling isolated, helpless, and trapped in difficult circumstances. Some people continuously face harmful individuals in their lives. They are drawn into a vicious cycle of bad karma. When they are wealthy and happy, such individuals appear to exploit them. But when they are struggling, discouraged, or failing, no one is there to support them. They feel as if they are being dragged down by those around them, and the isolation deepens their sense of helplessness. When encountering bad people, many often ask why they are drawn into such situations. There is an undeniable truth. The law of karma from past lives never punishes the wrong person. If you frequently encounter bad individuals, reflect on yourself. It could be that in the past, you accumulated too few blessings to escape the misfortunes of the present. When you realize that the bad people around you might be a reflection of yourself, an important question arises. How can you change this situation? To transform your current circumstances, we must first change our way of thinking and actions. 1. Awareness. The first step in changing yourself is to be aware of past mistakes. This includes acknowledging that you may have done wrong and caused negative karma for yourself. 2. Accumulate blessings. To change your energy field, actively engage in good deeds, help others, and build positive relationships. These actions will generate positive energy, attracting good things into your life. 3. Change your mindset. Try to view every situation in life more positively. Instead of only seeing difficulties, seek lessons and opportunities in each experience. This not only helps you grow, but also attracts people with a similar mindset. 4. Meditation and mindfulness. To change your destiny, meditation and mindfulness are essential. Meditation helps eliminate negative thoughts, cleanse the soul, and create peace in life. From there, you will more easily attract good things. 5. Connect with positive people. Strive to connect with people who share a positive energy frequency. These relationships will help you maintain a strong spirit and create a supportive network. In life, the Buddha taught that all the suffering we endure is the result of actions and decisions from our past. When faced with bad people or difficult situations, we should treat these as opportunities to learn and grow. Practicing compassion, forgiveness, and gratitude can help us overcome hardships. Learn to love those around you, even those you consider enemies. By doing so, you will not only transform your own life, but also have a positive impact on others. Life is a journey filled with challenges and opportunities. When encountering bad people, we may feel helpless and frustrated. However, if we can view the situation from a different perspective, seek reasons, and take positive actions, we can change not only ourselves, but also our environment. By accumulating merit, changing our mindset, and practicing the Buddha's teachings, we can create a better life and attract positive things. Ultimately, life can become a journey filled with light and hope, rather than darkness and suffering. Life is full of lessons, and meeting bad people is merely a part of the growth process for each of us. Always remember that the people we meet may be reflections of ourselves. Therefore, self-reflection and self-improvement are essential steps toward a better life. Even if you live well, yet continuously face misfortunes, it may be because you are repaying karmic debts. Despite your efforts to live righteously, treating others well, and avoiding society's vices, you may still find yourself frequently facing bad luck. You may have, at times, lamented to the heavens, asking why you suffer so much. In truth, this is karma. Why are you being punished? Because you have committed sins, either in this life or in past lives. The sins could be many, but some include stealing and murder, genocide of people or animals, destroying the natural environment, intentionally damaging temples, pagodas, or shrines, breaking altar bowls, stealing offerings or ceremonial items, mocking deities, the Buddha, or saints, corruption and embezzlement, being unfilial to parents, stealing others' possessions, using public resources for personal gain, fraud and greed in professional conduct, abusing, exploiting, or oppressing others. Committing these acts generates karmic debts that must be repaid. If not in this life, then in another, and the debt must be paid in full. This is the law of the universe. The law of cause and effect ensures retribution exists. Once we understand that these hardships are a result of past karma, we should not lose heart. Instead, we must resolve to overcome all obstacles and difficulties. Repaying karma is not simple. Do not think that practicing will instantly cleanse all bad karma or that everything will go as you wish. For example, someone who committed theft and murder in a previous life, killing 3 people, may need 2 or 3 lifetimes to repay that karma fully. Can karmic punishments be resolved? Can the process of repaying karma be eased? It is possible, but it cannot erase the debt entirely. Karma must be repaid. You can only request a deferral of karmic repayment, similar to asking a creditor to let you pay at a later time. This means asking not to repay in this life, but in future lives. What should you do after being granted a karmic deferral? Above all, from now on, you must live virtuously to accumulate merit. As your merit increases, your karma decreases. By the time the deferral period ends, your karma may be fully resolved, and repayment may no longer be necessary. This is the benefit of deferring karma. However, deferring karma can worsen the situation if you commit further wrongdoings. In that case, your soul will be dragged into suffering immediately, and you will start a miserable life anew. When you die, your soul will descend into even deeper realms of suffering. Therefore, be cautious even with deferring karma, which is now commonly referred to as shifting fate. Human life is meant for gaining experiences and progressing. There is no definitive method to repay karma. Thus, treat each life as a class in which lessons must be learned and understood before advancing to higher realms like the heavenly planes to continue learning. If lessons remain incomplete, you will stay in the human realm or be demoted to realms like Asura, animals, hungry ghosts, or hell. Marriage is not for satisfying emotional or physical desires or alleviating loneliness, but for learning love and harmony. Having children is not for relying on them in old age, but for learning how to love, teach, and help them. Becoming a king or president of a country is not for exploiting the people, but for learning to care for them and govern wisely. Being a doctor, dentist, or pharmacist is not for earning wealth or fame, but for learning to help and love patients. Therefore, we must practice spiritual cultivation now to transform suffering and pain into peace and happiness. Cultivation means correcting what is bad into good, wrong into right, and ignorance into enlightenment. Resentment and karmic bonds must be resolved by creating virtuous bonds. Seeking refuge in the Buddha means seeking guidance and principles to follow. The Buddha does not resolve hatred, but shows the right path to dissolve resentment and hatred. If someone with impure intentions wishes to avert calamities yet continues to do wrong, no amount of chanting or worshiping the Buddha will help them escape. When will we reap the fruits of living virtuously? Buddhism emphasizes the principle of cause and effect, where every teaching and philosophy originates from this concept. Yet many people question if living virtuously and righteously will ever yield blessings. When will we reap the fruits of blessings? To answer this question, we can refer to the Kshitigarbha Bodhisattva's original vows sutra, a sacred text dedicated to Kshitigarbha Bodhisattva, a bodhisattva revered as the protector of the earth, with a compassionate heart and profound wisdom, guiding disciples toward the path of true cultivation and shielding humanity from suffering, demons, and calamities. This sutra frequently mentions enjoying the fruits of blessings and the law of cause and effect. It teaches the principle of good begets good, evil begets evil, in accordance with the truths of Buddhism. Today, we see those who are extremely wealthy and noble in this world, and it is because they refrained from evil and cultivated virtue in their past lives, earning the blessings they now enjoy. Those who are enjoying blessings yet continue to cultivate goodness with humility will continue to have blessings. However, those who indulge in their blessings ignorantly and foolishly will eventually exhaust them, and the negative karma they accumulate will bring suffering in the future. Thus, Buddhist teachings always emphasize maintaining a high level of awareness. To sustain blessings, one must continue to create new blessings. Those who create negative karma will face consequences when their blessings are depleted. Blessings cannot last forever. If in a past life, one accumulated virtue and good roots, but in this life, due to wealth and power, sows seeds of negative karma, then once their blessings are exhausted, suffering will return. The Buddha frequently taught his disciples the cycle of 3 stages. First stage, cultivate blessings in a past life. Second stage, enjoy blessings in the current life. Third stage, fall into ruin if blessings are not cultivated further. Enjoying blessings without continuing to create them will lead to the eventual depletion of blessings. So when can one enjoy blessings? The answer lies in avoiding delusion. At the lowest level, achieving the state of an arhat allows one to enjoy blessings. At higher levels, bodhisattvas of the Dharma body enjoy great blessings and progress toward the Pure Land, where they experience supreme bliss. The best time to enjoy blessings is when we are also creating blessings. These are enduring and unending blessings. Blessings do not simply mean having luxurious homes or great wealth. Peace, health, and happiness are also blessings. Blessings are not about indulgence, they are about continuing to create blessings. When we live in this way, we enjoy limitless blessings and simultaneously build a life of goodness, ensuring a virtuous cycle of abundance for all eternity.
Signs of those with a spiritual calling who have practiced Buddhism in a past life. Early Enlightenment Awareness. Welcome back, everyone, to Mind Podcast. The signs of those with a spiritual calling who have practiced Buddhism in a previous life. Everyone's life is like a long symphony with both high and low notes. At times, the bustle and competition of life can become overwhelming, making one yearn for a peaceful place, perhaps the most serene place being within a calm, wave-free heart. Few people can escape the joys, sorrows, loves, and hates of the mortal world. To achieve this often requires a spiritual foundation. Regardless of who we are, everyone experiences joy, anger, love, and hate during life's ups and downs, from birth to death. Each person faces countless challenges and must confront situations that bring a range of emotions. Those who can rise above these ordinary feelings to live kindly without competition or resentment often have a spiritual foundation. So, what is a spiritual foundation? Foundation refers to the root or source of all things in life, while practice in Buddhism means correcting or improving oneself. As humans, we have moments of love and hate, as well as flaws like jealousy. Practicing means correcting these flaws. Therefore, a spiritual foundation is considered the basis for cultivating faith from a previous life, illuminated by the Buddha. Everyone has this foundation, which is the karma you have created. There is both good and bad karma, depending on how you nurture it in life. A person who lives kindly, showing love and compassion in this life, will be illuminated in the next. On the contrary, someone who is cruel and deceitful will face unfavorable consequences. You have the following signs. You are likely someone who has practiced in many past lives and will reap many blessings in this life. Signs indicating you have a Buddhist spiritual foundation. You face numerous life-threatening challenges, but remain healthy in both body and mind. Your life is filled with great dangers, but you survive. You have a gentle, compassionate heart, cannot bear to harm living beings, are not greedy for money, are not narrow-minded, and do not hoard wealth. You are intelligent, wise, and have a high capacity for understanding. You have a natural interest in mysterious aspects of religion, often learning esoteric teachings. In your dreams, you often see yourself flying to places with mountains, ancient temples, or sacred sites. You frequently dream of Buddha or experience sleep paralysis, seeing your spirit leave your body and travel elsewhere. You suddenly feel tired but cannot find any illness. You are sensitive to things related to deities, Buddha, and the supernatural. You can sense their presence when interacting with monks or practicing Buddhism. You are drawn to remote temples in high mountains. You have specific signs that indicate good fortune in your 8 characters and physiognomy, such as marks, birthmarks, or moles that form patterns like the 7 stars or constellations. Your body parts distinctly show yin and yang characteristics, especially when examining your hands. When you close your fist and lift it, palm and back of your hand are said to represent the yin and yang sides of your hand, clearly displaying a boundary between white and pink. Through your hands, one can read your fate and character. Soft, smooth hands indicate a kind heart, always performing good deeds. Those with soft hands often engage in charitable activities and visit temples. They live kindly, always doing good deeds, forgiving others' mistakes, and never harboring grudges or resentment. In moments of danger or mystical experiences, you may see visions through your third eye, experience your soul leaving your body during sleep, mastering a particular practice, or unintentionally read a heavenly book. You feel you suddenly know many things, and events in the world seem very familiar to you. In your dreams, you may encounter someone or some event where you receive a mission or duty. Usually, half or more people belong to those who have practiced before. These individuals typically exhibit the following behaviors. Always abide by the law, are punctual, and keep their promises. They are not easily swayed by pressure, are serious and responsible, and excel in many areas. Though they may seem very capable on the outside, internally they feel peaceful and always choose to do good deeds. They are independent, have strong opinions, and have a sense of pride, never easily subdued, but respect collective decisions. They are perfectionists, always striving to improve if something can be done better, and they do it again. They are not greedy, do not prioritize wealth, may not be good at managing their finances, but are careful and meticulous with others' money. They understand things early, always try their best to help others, and do not burden others with their own problems. They do not speak ill of others and always handle matters positively, no matter how bleak the situation. Signs of spirituality in relationships and connections. They have few relationships with others that hold value. They have a different way of interacting with people, making others initially like them and then deeply love them. Despite aging, their mind remains youthful, like a child, simple, joyful, enthusiastic, and lovable. They know how to organize their emotions and thoughts and let go when needed, but also pay close attention when required. They are not afraid of death or facing reincarnation as a human again. Given the chance, they will contribute well to humanity. They always stand out in a group, but inwardly they feel disconnected from society. They hold themselves to high standards, doing things for their own sake rather than worrying about how others view them. Signs in other areas. They often desire to wander freely rather than stay in a bustling, famous place. They balance well between learning and practical application. They have strong learning abilities, good analytical and organizational skills, and care deeply about their own health, making arrangements for their departure from this life. Dear readers, can those without a spiritual foundation still become ordained? The Buddha's gate is peaceful, allowing one to abandon all worldly concerns. Buddhist teachings make people more tranquil, no longer suffering when life becomes too hectic. However, not everyone has a spiritual foundation from before. So if someone lacks this foundation, can they still become ordained? Spiritual foundation is a blessing accumulated from past lives, leaving behind merits for this life. One does not have a spiritual foundation from previous lives. Even if they shave their head and become ordained in this life, they will not succeed. Sooner or later, their mind will be swayed by worldly desires for love and fame. One cannot know or decide what their past life was like. One can choose to create blessings for the next life. The law of cause and effect always operates in this life. Therefore, what you plant today will bear fruit in the future. To reap sweet fruits, you must sow good seeds. Even if you do 10 good deeds but commit one evil act, your spiritual practice will not be successful. Thus, each person must live kindly, know how to love and care for others, keep their mind peaceful, avoid competition, refrain from chasing after fame and material wealth, and not blindly follow desires or do evil, leaving consequences for countless future lives. Dear readers, if you want to know if someone has a spiritual foundation, you can recognize it by certain physical traits and signs. From ancient times, our ancestors believed that character creates destiny. This teaching is not wrong when applied to those who have practiced virtue in past lives, illuminated by the Buddha. Those with a spiritual foundation radiate a peaceful aura in their words and movements, reflecting a serene mind. Let us examine the palm lines of those with a spiritual foundation. Those with a particularly curved wisdom line in the shape of a C are considered to have had their heart inclined towards Buddhism in a previous life. The more curved this C is, the more it indicates that they practiced diligently in past lives, leaving merits for this life. This special hand trait is often seen in monks, and those with a C-shaped line are said to have a good heart, filled with love for all living beings. They are always considerate, thoughtful, and help anyone around them without calculating or expecting anything in return. This is how those with a spiritual foundation cultivate more good karma and purify their mind. Facial features of those with a spiritual foundation. Like the image of the Buddha, those with a spiritual foundation often have a radiant face that exudes a beautiful, peaceful aura, with gentle eyes and a benevolent expression. Their smile is bright like the morning sun. These individuals shine brightest when standing before the Buddha's altar. Those with a spiritual foundation often have a vertical line on their forehead, considered as opening the heavenly eye. In Buddhism, this means opening an eye that sees beyond the mundane, enabling them to discard worldly illusions and focus on meditation. In the future, they will soon attain true enlightenment, purify their mind, and focus on doing good, eliminating evil. Therefore, when standing next to those with a spiritual foundation, we often feel a sense of lightness and peace. Those with a high and prominent glabella, the area between the eyebrows, tend to be honest, kind, and will come to the aid of others in times of misfortune. This indicates a person with a deep connection to Buddhism, a soul inclined towards meditation, and a straightforward, honest nature. These individuals often have a successful career path and are easily promoted. However, their good nature often makes them uninterested in competing with others, instead choosing to turn towards Buddhism to find peace and tranquility. A mole in the middle of the forehead. Similar to the vertical line on the forehead, a mole in the middle of the forehead is another sign. These individuals see through the superficiality of worldly wealth and know how to choose a peaceful and simple life. They are gentle, soft-spoken, and always ready to stand up for the weak. They live by kindness and often ignore slights or criticism, focusing instead on vegetarianism and chanting Buddha's name. Earlobes of those with a spiritual foundation. Examining the earlobes is a traditional way to determine someone's goodness. Those with small, pinched earlobes often have a narrow and petty nature. On the other hand, those with large, long earlobes usually have a kind heart, inclined towards Buddhism. People with large earlobes are often regarded as having accumulated merits over several lifetimes. Those with this feature, no matter what they do, often have smooth sailing with divine assistance. They do not have strong desires for romantic relationships or marriage, but instead focus on practicing Buddhism and cultivating their mind. Those with soft hands. Through the hands, one can discern a person's fate and character. Soft, smooth hands indicate a kind heart, always performing good deeds. Those with soft hands often engage in charitable activities and visit temples. They live kindly, always doing good deeds, forgiving others' mistakes, and never harboring grudges or resentment. Those with a warm but resonant voice. A warm, resonant voice is another way to judge someone's character. Those who speak harshly or rudely with a high-pitched or abrupt tone are often impulsive and aggressive. In contrast, those with a warm but resonant voice usually live a virtuous life, accumulating merits. They tend to act in accordance with their true nature, not harboring ill will towards anyone, and are always ready to help those in need, standing up for what is right. Those with thick and high buns of hair. The hair is the crowning glory of a person. Thus, thick and high hair buns not only reflect beauty, but also carry a portion of one's merit. According to physiognomy, these people live with affection, discarding material concerns from their lives. Those with this trait are always generous and tolerant because they do not value material wealth. Although they may not formally ordain, they maintain a calm and serene heart, indifferent to the world's competitions for fame and fortune. The signs mentioned above are not 100% accurate, can help you partially recognize if someone has a spiritual foundation. Being near someone with a spiritual foundation often brings a sense of peace and tranquility. Understanding the meaning of spiritual practice, some may not fully grasp what it entails. Spiritual practice, specifically, means self-improvement. We correct our flaws to become better. That is spiritual practice. Why must we correct ourselves? Because everyone has good hearts and good intention, but also inevitably some bad traits. Perfect ourselves, we must practice. We know what our flaws are. Getting rid of them all at once is not easy. One bad trait may be removed, but another may emerge, so we must continue to practice throughout our lives. The Buddha identified three main poisons, greed, anger, and delusion, as the most dangerous flaws of human nature. Why are these three so dangerous? Because anyone who falls into them suffers and causes suffering for others around them. The Buddha asked the monks if they could sleep peacefully. 3 poisonous snakes entered their room. The monks replied that they could not. Buddha then asked how they could sleep peacefully. The monks said they would have to chase the snakes out of the room. These 3 poisonous snakes are greed, anger, and delusion. If they remain in our hearts, we cannot sleep peacefully. Yet, we often do not fear them and sleep soundly, even though these poisonous snakes are inside. It is only when they bite that we face danger. We must understand the true meaning of spiritual practice in Buddhism. However, if we are calm and peaceful, but someone says something unpleasant, we immediately become angry. When anger arises, all our bad traits come out, causing harm to ourselves and others. This leads to conflict, which may even impact our family. Therefore, as long as greed, anger, and delusion remain, we continue to suffer. Spiritual practice aims to eliminate suffering. Everyone wants to be free from suffering, so should we hold on to greed, anger, and delusion? Do we want to chase them away or not? If greed, anger, and delusion remain, we must make a vow before the Buddha to eradicate. If we do not succeed today, we will try again tomorrow, and if not tomorrow, then the day after. We must continue until we succeed. Sometimes we become angry for no reason. For example, we are in a good mood, and someone suddenly says, "You're as stupid as a cow." We immediately become angry. If we react with anger, we are acknowledging that we are as stupid as a cow. However, if we smile and say, "The more I learn, the more I realize how little I know," we diffuse the situation. There is no reason to be angry. Words have no intrinsic value, yet we often react with anger, causing suffering for ourselves and others. If we know that the words are untrue, we will not suffer. The story goes that the Buddha once traveled to a region where people followed the Brahmanical religion. After hearing his teachings, many converted to Buddhism. This angered the Brahmin priests. The next day, the Buddha went to beg for alms, and a Brahmin followed behind him, cursing and insulting him. The Buddha remained calm and continued walking without paying any attention. The more silent the Buddha was, the angrier the Brahmin became. Finally, the Brahmin blocked the Buddha's path and asked if he was deaf. The Buddha replied that he was not deaf. The Brahmin then asked why the Buddha did not respond to his insults. The Buddha asked the Brahmin if he had guests at his home and offered them gifts, but they refused to accept them. The Brahmin said that the gifts would belong to him if they were not accepted by the guests. The Buddha then said that the same applies to insults. If someone insults you and you do not accept it, the insults remain with the one who gave them. So, dear Buddhists, do you accept or reject such insults? If you reject them, you will not suffer. The Buddha was insulted by name, but he did not accept it. If the Buddha had accepted the insults and fought with the Brahmin, would we still revere him today? We revere the Buddha because he overcame greed, anger, and delusion. In situations where we would expect anger, the Buddha remained calm and did not retaliate. However, we often react with anger even before anyone has provoked us. Are we saints or sinners? Spiritual practice is about becoming a saint, not falling into the realm of demons. But why don't we let go of anger? Because we are too attached to meaningless words and believe them to be real. We are also attached to this body, thinking it is real, so we become obsessed with illusions. People who speak wrongly have already made a mistake. If we argue with them, are we also making a mistake? Yes, we are. Person who is awake and aware of wrong and false words does not feel anger or resentment. Therefore, spiritual practitioners must be awake and aware, always using wisdom to discern truth from falsehood. This is true spiritual practice. If we do not use wisdom to discern, we will become as chaotic as someone with a mental illness. Thus, the difference between a spiritual practitioner and someone who is not lies in one clinging to anger and resentment, causing the mind to become chaotic, while the other remains calm, clear-headed, and generous, resolving all matters peacefully. The Buddha taught that couples should remember the importance of practicing restraint in speech. Harboring anger and resentment is like holding a hot coal in your heart, burning you from within. Nothing good comes from it. If something happens, let it go for your own well-being. Holding on to anger only brings suffering. If you carry it with you to the grave, you will meet the same people in the next life. The Buddha taught that whoever we love or hate deeply in this life, we will meet again in the next life. Why? Because these two types of people occupy our thoughts while we tend to forget about others. Therefore, if you do not want to suffer in the next life, let go of all hatred now. Doing so will bring joy in this life and peace in the next, as you will not accumulate more suffering. Many families have children who are filial, which is truly valuable, but the parents do not care for them as much. On the other hand, they may have children who are destructive and terrifying, yet they love them deeply. This is because of past life debts that must be repaid. Therefore, by looking at a family, we can tell whether our current relationships are due to past love or hatred. If you can let go of hatred, your relationships in the next life will be ordinary, not too loving or too hateful, and therefore less suffering. If you can completely let go of love and hatred, you will be free from suffering altogether. Yet, many Buddhists ask if being patient means being foolish. If we are patient and others look down on us, are we foolish? The answer is no. If others are irrational and we remain calm, we are better than they are. Do not think that using harsh language to retaliate makes you clever. That is a mistake. If someone is irrational, we should remain silent, keep our virtue intact. Spiritual practitioners should understand the principles to avoid suffering in this life and the next. We must reduce anger and hatred, not hold on to them in our hearts. Keeping your heart light and peaceful allows you to live joyfully and freely, even if you are poor. On the other hand, holding on to too much hatred, even if you have abundant wealth, will still bring you suffering. Spiritual practitioners do not only create good karma in the present, but also for future lives. On the path of practice, each step you take brings peace. If you take 2 steps, you bring double the peace. This is how spiritual practice works. It is not about asking the Buddha to grant us peace and happiness. The Buddha does not accept such requests. Those who know how to practice make meaningful contributions, while those who do not practice may even commit sins. Knowing how to practice brings peace throughout one's life. Not knowing how to practice brings endless suffering in this life and the next. Therefore, true Buddhists must understand the principles correctly and not misunderstand, making their practice meaningless. Spiritual practice involves taking refuge in the 3 jewels and observing the 5 precepts. Many people practice without understanding the roots or the fruits of their actions. We practice to make ourselves better and influence those around us positively. Why did the Buddha teach us to observe the precept against killing? In this world, everyone fears death. Since we fear death, how can we cause others to die? If we value our own life, we must also value the lives of others. Therefore, we must not kill. If we want to live, we must also protect the lives of others. This is a matter of fairness. The second precept is not to steal. Everyone knows that money and possessions are essential for survival. If we lose them, we lose our peace. Since we understand the importance of money and possessions, we should not take them from others. The Buddha forbids stealing because it violates fairness in society. The third precept is not to commit adultery, which protects the happiness of families. In a family, if the husband or wife is unfaithful, the family falls apart, and happiness is destroyed. If we want to protect our family's happiness, we must also protect the happiness of others. Therefore, the Buddha forbids adultery. These 3 precepts are essential for a peaceful life. Observing these 3 precepts helps us avoid much suffering. Fourth precept is not to lie. In a family where parents, children, husbands, or wives deceive each other, trust is destroyed. Without trust, there can be no love. Trust is the foundation of love. If we want a happy family, we must be honest with each other. In society, if we deceive others, they will not trust us. When we lose others' trust, we are isolated from the community. This isolation brings suffering. Therefore, the Buddha forbids lying. Fifth precept is not to consume intoxicants. The Buddha forbids the consumption of alcohol because it leads to delusion and loss of control. When intoxicated, we lose our ability to think clearly, leading to mistakes and potentially harmful actions. In today's world, there are substances more dangerous than alcohol, such as drugs. Therefore, Buddhists should not consume alcohol or use drugs. The harm caused by these substances is far-reaching, affecting both individuals and society as a whole. Understanding the true meaning of spiritual practice, we can apply it to our lives for greater benefit. Even if we only hear a little, it can bring great benefit. On the other hand, hearing much but not practicing correctly can lead to the accumulation of bad karma and suffering. What evidence is needed to confirm that Buddha existed? Welcome back everyone to Mind Podcast. Did Buddha truly exist in history? For many Buddhists, this question is considered heretical, something posed by non-believers, and is seen as a defamation of Buddhism. Their response is a firm affirmation that Shakyamuni Buddha was a real person who was born, attained enlightenment, and passed away in India over 2,600 years ago. This answer is taken for granted, and there are almost no individuals who intend to refute what has been widely accepted. However, it is necessary to carefully examine and provide a reasonable and accurate answer to the question of whether Shakyamuni Buddha truly existed or is merely a legend. To affirm something is true, we must have sufficient and credible scientific evidence. So does Buddhism have the necessary and sufficient evidence to confirm that Buddha existed? If we use Buddhist scriptures to assert that Buddha truly existed, there are discrepancies between the 2 major branches of Buddhism: Theravada, Southern Buddhism, and Mahayana, Northern Buddhism. For example, Mahayana records. Mahayana Buddhism states that Prince Siddhartha left home at the age of 19, spent 5 years seeking the path, and 6 years practicing austerities in the forest before attaining enlightenment at the age of 31. He taught for 49 years and passed away at the age of 80. His birth is commemorated on the 8th day of the 4th lunar month, his enlightenment on the 8th day of the 12th lunar month, and his death on the 15th day of the 2nd lunar month. Theravada records. Theravada Buddhism records that Prince Siddhartha left home at the age of 29. After a short period of seeking the path and 6 years of practicing austerities in the forest, he attained enlightenment at the age of 35. He taught for 45 years and passed away at the age of 80. His birth, enlightenment, and death are all commemorated on the 15th day of the 4th lunar month. Mahayana and Theravada followers each hold firmly to their own records and reject the records of the other. However, being truly objective, one cannot use Mahayana records to refute Theravada records, and vice versa. Neither set of records can be used to definitively prove or disprove the other. Is there scientific evidence to confirm Buddha's existence? Establishing the historical existence of Buddha requires a critical examination of both Buddhist scriptures and archaeological findings. Historians and archaeologists have discovered numerous ancient sites and artifacts in India and Nepal that support the existence of a historical figure who matches the life of Shakyamuni Buddha. Some key pieces of evidence include: 1. Lumbini inscription. An inscription discovered at Lumbini, the birthplace of Buddha, records Emperor Ashoka's pilgrimage to this site. This inscription dates back to the 3rd century BCE, approximately 200 years after Buddha's passing, and is one of the earliest pieces of evidence indicating that Buddha was a real historical figure. Archaeological sites. Excavations at key sites associated with Buddha's life, such as Bodh Gaya, the place of enlightenment, Sarnath, where he delivered his first sermon, and Kushinagar, where he passed away, have revealed stupas, pillars, and relics that provide additional historical context. 3. Historical texts and records. Apart from Buddhist scriptures, historical texts from other cultures and neighboring countries also mention the existence of a wise teacher in India who founded a spiritual tradition, adding credibility to the claim of Buddha's historical existence. Despite these findings, absolute historical proof may still be lacking due to the passage of time and the limitations of ancient records. Nevertheless, the combination of archaeological discoveries and scriptural records strongly suggests that Shakyamuni Buddha was not merely a mythical figure, but a real person who made a profound impact on the spiritual and cultural history of India and beyond. Why is there this inconsistency? The only answer could be that there was no person named Siddhartha Gautama living at that time. If Prince Siddhartha truly existed as a Buddha, and he had stated the exact day, month, and year of his renunciation, then his followers, great sages, and many Indians, would have remembered it and passed it down with absolute precision for generations. The scriptures mention that when Shakyamuni Buddha attained enlightenment, he initially did not want to teach the truths he had realized. It was only after being requested by a Brahma deity that he decided to preach the Dharma he had realized. The Dharma that I have realized is profound, hard to see, hard to understand, serene, sublime, beyond all logic and reasoning, and subtle. It can only be comprehended by those who possess wisdom. However, these people are obsessed with desires, take delight in desires, and are dominated by desires. Therefore, it is difficult for them to comprehend this Dharma. We cannot take this detail to assert that Prince Siddhartha attained enlightenment, became a Buddha, and only began teaching after being requested by a Brahma deity. This is an illogical notion because Brahma is considered a mundane being, just like any other sentient being. Brahma has not experienced enlightenment, so how could he recognize a Buddha or know that someone has attained enlightenment, and then request them to teach the Dharma? In the scriptures, it is also mentioned that even Shariputra, an arhat known for his supreme wisdom, could not comprehend the mind of a Buddha, let alone an unenlightened being like Brahma. At the time when Prince Siddhartha attained supreme enlightenment, all beings, whether celestial or human, were still considered mundane beings. Thus, no one could know for sure that the prince had attained complete enlightenment. Even if he had declared, "I have become a Buddha," would unenlightened beings have believed it? Would they have accepted it? And who would have had the authority to officially recognize that he had become a Buddha? Why do the scriptures lack consistency? The inconsistency among scriptures raises a question. Could it be that ancient people created a fictional character to serve as a symbolic figurehead for personal interpretations, or as a collection of folklore that was synthesized into a religious doctrine? Such inconsistencies suggest that the image of Buddha may have been mythologized over time. The lack of unified details between Mahayana and Theravada traditions, for example, may point to variations in how his life story was transmitted orally before being written down. If there were a historical Buddha, why do these records conflict with each other? Moreover, the historical documentation and archaeological evidence about Buddha are also debated among scholars. There is a possibility that his image and teachings were constructed or embellished over time to fit the needs of the communities that followed him. This hypothesis does not necessarily discredit the moral and philosophical value of his teachings, but instead invites us to reflect on the nature of historical evidence, mythology, and faith. Regardless of whether Buddha's existence can be definitively proven or not, his teachings have shaped a significant part of world culture and philosophy. The stories and teachings attributed to him have provided moral guidance and inspiration for countless people. Whether as a historical figure or a symbolic embodiment of certain virtues and ideals, the Buddha's impact remains profound and enduring. This is something we can easily observe in the modern era. Many people have written books based on their own thoughts and then claimed that they were the words of Buddha. One Buddha's teachings contradict another Buddha's life events. If something is repeated many times, it may eventually be accepted as the truth. Below is a story about Buddha that most of us know. Shakyamuni Buddha was Prince Siddhartha, the son of Queen Maya and King Suddhodana of the Kapilavastu kingdom, which was part of ancient India in the 4th century BCE. One day, Queen Maya, who was about to give birth to her first child, dreamt of a radiant, beautiful white light shining upon her. A large white elephant came from the Golden Mountains and offered her a white lotus flower. When she awoke, Queen Maya shared her dream with the king, and he summoned wise men and sages to interpret it. They considered it a good omen, signifying that the child to be born would become a great sage. On April 8, 624 BCE, Queen Maya gave birth to Prince Siddhartha in Lumbini Garden. Overjoyed, King Suddhodana called upon saintly sages and spiritual teachers to bless his son and to predict his future. One day, a sage named Asita, who had come down from the Himalayas, requested to see the prince to offer his blessings. After seeing the prince, Asita wept. King Suddhodana asked why, and Asita replied that although the prince possessed the 32 auspicious marks and 80 excellent qualities, he would certainly become a fully enlightened being, a Buddha. Asita cried because, by the time this happens, he would have already passed away and would not have the opportunity to hear the prince's teachings. With his exceptional intelligence and extraordinary strength, by the age of 12, Prince Siddhartha had mastered all forms of learning. One day, while walking through the 4 gates of the city, he encountered 4 sights: an old man, a sick person, a corpse, and a monk. He realized that all human beings, regardless of who they are, will experience birth, aging, sickness, and ultimately death. He deeply respected the image of the monk, who symbolized liberation and transcendence. He returned and saw the palace maidens lying naked, scattered and disheveled in their rooms, making him feel the impurity of human desires. Thus, he mounted his horse, Kantaka, and along with his charioteer, Chana, left the capital city in the middle of the night. When they arrived at the bank of the Anoma River, he cut his hair, bid farewell to his horse, removed all his jewelry and clothes, gave them to Chana, and sent him back to the palace. After studying under his first 2 teachers, Arada Kalama and Udaka Ramaputta, he entered a forest to practice extreme austerities along with the 5 ascetics known as the Kondanya brothers. After 6 years of severe self-mortification, his body weakened and he appeared as if he was on the brink of death. One day, he heard the sound of a celestial instrument played by Brahma Indra and realized that a lute string that is neither too tight nor too loose produces the best sound. At that moment, he discovered the path of moderation, the middle way. He began to eat normally again. This disillusioned the 5 ascetics, who then abandoned him to seek other places to continue their severe practices. Shakyamuni then sat in deep meditation for 49 days and nights under the Bodhi tree. During these 49 days, his inner self constantly battled with defilements such as anger, desire, doubt, pride, and even with the Mara king, who sent his demon armies to tempt and threaten him. In the end, on the 49th night, he attained enlightenment and saw clearly all his past lives in the three realms, a state known as Pubanivasayana. Simultaneously, he understood the entire essence of the universe and its structure, a state known as Dibakakunana. Through this, he comprehended the origins of all suffering and discovered the method to cure it, thereby liberating himself from the cycle of birth and death, achieving the ultimate freedom from samsara. On a full moon morning in April of 588 BCE, he attained complete enlightenment and became a fully enlightened Buddha, a Sanasan Buddha. This is the story about him that most of us acknowledge. But where is the evidence? On November 25, 2013, an international team of archaeologists announced that they had found evidence revealing the exact birthplace of Buddha, suggesting that the origins of Buddhism could date back to the 6th century BCE, 2 centuries earlier than some other hypotheses. This discovery was announced after scientists conducted excavations at the Maya Devi temple in the renowned Lumbini Garden area of Nepal, believed to be the birthplace of Buddha. The archaeological team discovered traces of an unknown wooden structure lying beneath a layer of brick foundation at the Maya Devi temple. The results of radiocarbon analysis and molecular carbon dating from the carbonized materials and charred remains indicated that this structure existed in the 6th century BCE, 3 centuries earlier than the temple architecture built on top of it. Further analysis led archaeologists to find the roots of a large, ancient tree at the center of this open architectural structure, providing evidence that closely aligns with the folklore about the Buddha's mother giving birth to him under the shade of a tree. Until now, most of the details regarding Buddha's life have originated from folklore, with very little scientific evidence. Following this discovery, UNESCO called for deeper archaeological research, as well as enhanced preservation and management of this area. The Lumbini Garden, located at the foot of the Himalayas between the borders of Nepal and India, is one of the 4 most significant sites in Buddha's life. This heritage area had been covered by forest until its rediscovery in 1896. The other 3 significant sites include 1. Bodh Gaya, Bodhi Tree, where Buddha attained enlightenment. 2. Sarnath, Deer Park, where he delivered his first sermon. 3. Kushinagar, Kusinara, where Buddha entered final nirvana. These locations are considered the most important landmarks marking the life and teachings of the historical Buddha. The Maya Devi temple, named after Buddha's mother, is located in Lumbini and serves as a pilgrimage site for hundreds of thousands of Buddhists each year. In late 2011, the Nepalese ambassador to South Korea, Kamal Prasad Koirala, wrote a 4-page letter to then-President Lee Myung-bak, requesting that he instruct the South Korean Ministry of Education to correct information about Buddha's birthplace in South Korean history textbooks. Specifically, a primary school ethics textbook in South Korea stated, Buddha was born in the Kapilavastu Castle in India. A middle school world history textbook also mentioned, Buddha was born into a Brahmin royal family, and his birthplace is India. However, Ambassador Koirala asserted that Buddha was actually born in Lumbini, which is part of Nepalese territory. With all humility, I urge you to consider the true birthplace of Buddha, which has been incorrectly written by scholars for a long time. Recognizing the significance and emotions of countless devotees, I take this opportunity to affirm the truth and humbly request the correction of this information. Ambassador Koirala wrote in the letter. He further mentioned that during the period when India was a British colony, some British individuals wrote that Buddha was born in India. And to this day, hundreds of millions of Buddhists around the world still believe this to be true. Ambassador Koirala clarified that, in reality, Buddha was born in the Lumbini rice-growing region, which is 107 kilometers southwest of the Nepalese capital, Kathmandu, and 32 kilometers from the Indian border. However, many scholars have continued to reference the old information found in British archives, causing confusion even today when people try to answer questions about the birthplace of Buddhism's founder. Because India was under British rule, British historians began to write the history of Buddha in English, stating that Buddha was born in India. This mistake did not occur without reason. In the 17th, 18th, and 19th centuries, many British historians remained uncertain about Lumbini's exact location. Ambassador Koirala added that even UN Secretary-General Ban Ki-moon expressed interest in developing Lumbini, as it is the birthplace of Buddha. He further mentioned that as of November 7, 2011, the British Museum had officially recognized Buddha's birthplace as being in Nepal. He expressed confidence that the South Korean president would consider this request so that South Korean students would not learn incorrect information and misunderstand the birthplace of Buddha. The South Korean leader welcomed Ambassador Koirala's suggestion and promised that the South Korean government would review the issue. According to Buddhist scriptures, it is recorded that Queen Maya was on her way back home to Ranggram, Nepal, when she went into labor. She reached Lumbini just as she was about to give birth. She bathed in a sacred pond, walked 25 steps to a nearby forest, and gave birth there. Buddha was born in 623 BCE, over 2,600 years ago. It took 9 months after the discovery for Nepalese officials to confirm that the commemorative stone marking the event was found exactly 25 steps away. It was discovered on a brick foundation dating back to the time of King Ashoka, who visited Lumbini 400 years after Queen Maya left the sacred pond and went into the forest to give birth. Additionally, several other pieces of evidence proving the existence of this great spiritual teacher have been found through the following instances. 1. Evidence from people who knew him personally. This evidence is engraved on stone tablets, stone pillars, and stupas erected in his honor. These memorials were created by rulers and some individuals who lived very close to his era, making it possible for them to verify the story of his life. Number 2, the discovery of historical sites and monuments. Various archaeological sites and heritage temples mentioned in these narratives have been uncovered, providing further validation of the historical accounts. 3. The Sangha, community of monks. The holy monastic community that Buddha founded has been maintained without interruption to this day. The Sangha has preserved the events of his life and his teachings, passing them down from generation to generation. In most regions around the world, the various Buddhist councils and assemblies of the Sangha have proven that his teachings were transmitted from master to disciple since his time and continue to be preserved to this day. 4th, after Buddha's parinirvana. After his passing, his physical body was cremated, and his relics, sharira, were divided among 8 kingdoms in India at that time. Each king built a stupa to enshrine the portion of relics they received. One portion of these relics was given to King Ajatashatru, who enshrined it in a stupa at Rajagriha. Nearly 2 centuries later, Emperor Ashoka took these relics and redistributed them throughout the country. The relics enshrined in these stupas, as well as in other stupas, are confirmed to be the relics of Buddha Gautama. The Mahavamsa, one of the most reliable and ancient texts in history that we know of today, provides detailed accounts of Buddha's life, Emperor Ashoka's reign, and all other dynasties related to the history of Buddhism. 5th, records in Indian history. The golden pages of Indian history describe Buddha's life, his teachings, his service, and the customs, culture, and traditions of Buddhism. 6th, historical records in other countries. 100 years after Buddha's parinirvana, we can find documented evidence in Buddhist countries such as Sri Lanka, Vietnam, Myanmar, China, Tibet, Nepal, South Korea, Mongolia, Japan, Thailand, Cambodia, and Laos. This evidence has preserved the intact cultural, historical, religious, and literary heritage associated with Buddhism. 7th, the Tripitaka, 3 baskets of sacred teachings. The Tripitaka is a comprehensive collection of Buddha's teachings over 45 years of preaching, serving as sufficient proof that Buddha was indeed a historical figure who truly existed in this world. Why do Buddhists believe that Shakyamuni Buddha existed? For Buddhists who are currently practicing, what is the reasonable answer to the question, did Shakyamuni Buddha really exist? The response is often, I believe Buddha existed. Emphasis is placed on the word believe rather than confirm or prove. The response, I believe Buddha existed, can be divided into 2 cases. Belief with right view, which is right faith. Belief with wrong view, which is superstition. Believing in the real existence of Buddha with right faith means that, after listening to teachings or studying scriptures, one gains a correct understanding of the principle of dependent origination. From there, they comprehend correctly that all phenomena, whether mental or physical, are impermanent, non-self, and not owned by anyone, which means they are anatta, non-self. They also gain a correct understanding of suffering, the cause of suffering, the cessation of suffering, and the path leading to the cessation of suffering. After gaining listening wisdom, such a person continues to reflect, analyze, and apply the wisdom they have learned, comparing it with real-life experiences. They see that humanity has a certain understanding of mental and physical phenomena and of the cycle of birth, aging, sickness, and death, but that these views are completely opposite to the truths that Buddha realized and taught. The person then sees that the Buddha's teachings are indeed profound and extraordinary. This understanding allows them to truly comprehend and develop a genuine faith in the Dharma. Once they have right faith in the Dharma, they can reason and conclude that the person who taught this profound and sublime Dharma must have been a remarkable individual, a fully enlightened being. As a result, right faith arises, believing that Buddha truly existed, because he taught this deeply profound and sublime Dharma. So, did Shakyamuni Buddha really exist? Yes, Buddha truly existed. He is not a legend or a fabricated story. However, the confirmation of Buddha's existence is only valid for individuals who have attained enlightenment. In Buddhist terminology, such a person is called an arhat. Only an arhat has the qualification to affirm that Buddha was real and that his teachings are indeed the true path. This affirmation of Buddha's existence comes from a deep-rooted faith based on personal realization and wisdom. The affirmation that Buddha truly existed is a process that requires practice and is only for the wise, not for everyone. It is for those who possess listening wisdom and reflective wisdom in full measure, enabling them to practice the Noble Eightfold Path. Only those who have personally experienced and verified the truth can affirm the reality of the cessation of suffering, nirvana, and the Four Noble Truths. Naturally, they also affirm that the person who taught the profound Dharma, which they have practiced and verified to be true, must be a fully enlightened being, Sammasambuddha. Thus, regardless of whether a historical Prince Siddhartha Gautama lived and attained enlightenment over 2,600 years ago in India or not, the truth remains forever unchanged. The one who taught that truth is our Shakyamuni Buddha.